Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the iRacing Today radio show for today, which is February the 17th, 2015. This is our 87th edition of the show. I have no numbers that are significant to that number, or, other numbers other than our show. But anyway, that's what it is, 87th, which is like one step closer to 100, which is awesome. I am your host, Trevor Cameron, and beside me in the booth, I have Mr. Chad Dalton. How you doing tonight, Chad?
Well, I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. And that's our show for tonight.
Yes.
We discussed everything we were going to discuss before the show and had great conversations, and we have nothing left to talk about on the show, actually. So, sorry, but,
We did. So, that was great. You missed out.
Yeah, that's why we were a bit late. It's like, all right. It's like, oh, yeah, well, this thing. Oh, and the other thing. And, yeah, it's like, we should probably do a show now. So we should stop talking and, about super secret stuff that we can't talk about on the air because, we'll get sued because we're that controversial when we're off the air. We put on our good boy pants when we're on the show, but, other than that, we're just evil
Wait, we're
people.
supposed to wear pants?
Nobody can tell because, hey. Yeah. No, I'm wearing a shirt. You can tell that much. That's about as much. Anyway, this is, of course, our show, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. Show. But in this week's show, we have some news, which relates to both iRacing itself and our, well, I was going to say our show, but not as much our show is our team, which we'll mention that a little bit later on. We've got some Chad doing some amazing things on the track, mostly around tracks that involve going right. We've got a rookie tip of the week, which is provided by a listener, so we'll get to that. And Chad's going to make a big tirade about something and, get really upset and stuff. So if you want to see Chad upset, then...
Get your pitchforks out.
Because, I don't know, he was pretty riled up before he started. He's probably gotten out of his system now. He'd be all like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. It's, this thing's kind of silly, but what are you going to do?
We're going to get our pitchforks out. That's what we're going to do.
Excellent. And we're going to storm the offices and the beaches. And we shall never surrender. But,
so,
anyway,
in the news. What are you laughing at?
I don't know. That's what I'm supposed to do, isn't it? You're supposed to be talking and then I just giggle. Isn't that how this works? Oh, wait, that's my other show. That's my other show.
So that's my job, because technically I would be your daughter in this case, which is weird. Anyways.
Creepy.
So as we mentioned on last week's show, which feels like forever ago.
It does for some reason. I don't know why that is.
I don't either.
I had a 3-day weekend in there. I don't think you guys get President's Day off, do you?
No, but I'm in the middle of a snowstorm, so I've had a bunch of days off.
Oh, is that why you're off? You mentioned you were off. I didn't know if that was because there was a storm or is it just because, I don't know, Duke's playing a basketball game or something, and you said, I need the rest of the week off to prepare.
Actually, it's both. But as we mentioned on last week's show, wow, that took a... So, the iRacing Today radio show, Fun Races Take 3, is going to be coming soon, and we've already had a couple people send in some ideas, which were very cool, and we appreciate that. But we're looking at the rest of you. Wait, up there.
Yeah. He looked at the camera. Woo!
Woo! But we haven't set up a date yet for when we want to do that. Obviously, we're going to try and accommodate all of you, but that won't be completely possible. So...
I mean, we're probably looking into April instead of March just because I have at least 2 work trips coming up in March, maybe 3. Hopefully not, but maybe. So March is going to be busy, but I know I'm going to be in-house in April, so it will probably not be in March.
Cool. So, possible April. is where we're shooting for. But yeah, send us in your suggestions for a track in a car with the driver swap, without the driver swap. We're pretty open because we're just cool like that. So yeah, just wanted to mention that again so that if you have any ideas while you're driving to work, after you get to work, you can shoot us an email and say, hey, I was thinking about this. You should do this. I vote this. So do that.
Yes, that is how emails work when
Yep.
we ask them questions. We say a question, you say, I think this or that. Thank you for explaining communication purposes.
Yes.
Also, what's up with FedEx? That's what I want to know. I mean, completely unrelated. So Chad ships me up the pedals. Side story here, but I don't know what reminded me of it. And then, so he gets charged money to ship them up to me.
It's because you want to get out your pitchfork.
So fair enough. They ship it out. He pays money. It gets to me. Everything's great. Transaction complete. Then I get a bill in the mail for clearing customs, which I kind of half expected because I didn't know, but I figured they would have figured that all out when they shipped it, because anytime you order something from, a retailer, they figure that out. So if you go into FedEx and you say, hey, I'm shipping this to Canada, they should probably figure that out. So I get a bill for some customs clearance fees. And then Chad gets a bill for clear. So did he have to pay fees to clear it out of the United States, and I had to pay fees to get it cleared into Canada? So in the middle of it, it just sits there in limbo. Wow. Like, it cost us way too much to get those bloody pedals up here.
It's because they need more money so that Denny Hamlin can win the championship. He fell two spots short last year, and if they'd had that extra $45 or whatever it is, they'd have won.
Yeah, that's how it would work out. But anyway, so there's my first pitchfork moment of the. What's
We're going on strike tonight.
Get my '80s sitcom. What's the deal with FedEx?
So if you're looking for a good mood tonight, you're not getting it here.
Apparently, we're in a mood. But the people who are not in a mood are the people who are preparing to watch our show and listen to our show because as we normally do, we posted something on the website that says, hey, the show's coming up. Here's what we think we might talk about. And we already got responses and comments on the show before the show even existed, which is unusual for us. So we thought it would be fun to read those. Stacy B, who is the person that we mentioned had just signed up with iRacing and used me as a referral because I'm awesome. And apparently because I have fluffy hair, that's what she said was the determining factor. She voted for me because she liked my hair. It's like American Idol, except for without the singing. But Stacy B says, will we still get the fluffy hair? Stay tuned. Well, those of you watching live know the answer to that. Although Chad has not mentioned it. He mentions it all the time. He's like, hair this and hair that and hair. So I get a complete haircut. Chad says nothing. I'm very offended by that.
I did too say something.
You did. You said nothing.
No, I brought up the comment that Stacy said, and the reason why is because I was looking at your head, and then I told you to go read the comment, which you did, and that was my comment that wasn't a comment.
I don't know what's going on in your head. I don't see. I just thought you said, "Oh, look, people
You should
come."
know me by now. You've been a co-host for 2 years. You should be able to read my mind.
I know nothing.
But yes.
Then some guy named Antony, I don't know, with some weird, for some weird name, my last name I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. I mean, it says, remember that one guy you mentioned that one time? I forget his name. Me too. And apparently,
I love how I used to be his #1 fan, and like I was #1 in his life, and now suddenly I love you too, Chad.
well, do we know?
That seems to put me at #2.
Yeah, but that's a different person. That's their name. See, that's their username is your #1 fan, love you too, Chad. I mean, who's to say that's that guy? I can't say that. That's a username. It's a weird username.
I would feel pretty comfortable in the fact that it is because of the email address that is associated with it.
It says, your #1 fan, love you too, Chad. Hi, Trevor. Oh, Antony. You weird cat, you. Yanka Boga. Listeners to the old show will know that who we're talking of, but I refuse to say his name because that was the old joke, and it makes me giggle still. Speaking of things I got to take care of, I mean, production meeting stuff that has to be happen, should happen off air. I've got to work with getting the old archives, the old show, the old podcast moved around because the old iRacingToday.com URL is expiring, and I think it's dumb to keep it up because all it is doing the archives of the old show. So I'll have to do that. I have to figure out how to move, how to have a second RSS feed so I can kind of move the old, so that, if they look out the old show, they can find it through iTunes and stuff. I have no idea how to do that. I'm sure somebody does.
I actually went back and listened, but this has been about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you threatened you were going to do that.
Yeah, I actually went back and listened to the very first iRacing Today podcast show ever.
Ooh.
I think it was only like 20 or 30 minutes long. And boy,
good times.
Was it interesting.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it was just interesting because of knowing, like, it wasn't bad. It was just interesting in how it's changed, throughout. Like, your voice, you sound a lot younger. And now, like, I mean, you had, like, everything, like, so orderly, and you went back and edited all the little bloopers out.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's, like, free-for-all.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about anything. Well, yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. See, that was the thing that almost killed the show. Back then, it was just too much time. And then, it's like, okay, well, I can give you a product that's not as polished and it's a little bit more freeform, and keep the show. And everybody's like, yeah, do that. So that's what we ended up, because it was time consuming, because I went through that whole show and I edited out every 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 click, every silence. And the first few shows were actually very tightly scripted too. Like,
Yeah.
I have a pretty good way of speaking conversationally when I'm reading, but it was still like all scripted, as opposed to now when you look at our show notes, it's like, I don't know, a couple of point forms. I don't know, talk about this.
Speaking of our show notes, we should get back on track with
We
those.
probably should. Well, I was just going to say, it's a lot easier to do that sort of thing when, you have somebody to banter off of. If your only banter partner is, the mirror, so to speak, then, well, it's awful hard to go, hey, let's talk about this. Well, I'm done talking about that. But speaking of our show notes, their show notes say that it's iRacing Daytona 500 week, which, of course, means that it's your chance to race in one of 7 iRacing Daytona 500s, not like our normal or the World Tour events. It's going to be part of the NASCAR iRacing.com series. And those are, well, you guys know the dates and stuff. Should we go through the times? I don't even have them up right now. It's like Wednesday night, Thursday night,
Friday night,
Friday and Saturday morning-ish.
But that's in our time zone.
Yeah, and I don't even, GMT is something, I don't know. But all the details are, of course, in the forums and whatnot. And, of course, we've talked about those many, many times. I don't see any value in going back to those. I'm going to be attempting the Thursday evening one, which is at, time zones. 7 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Yes.
I should probably know this so I show up on time. I'm going to be attempting that one, although I came to the conclusion that I haven't had a chance to practice yet, because I'm looking at my schedule for the week, because last night was busy, and it's been a busy bunch of time here, just with some family stuff and whatnot. And I'm looking at the schedule and say, okay, so this night I'm doing this night doing this night, this. Then I get to Thursday, and Thursday I'm doing the Daytona 500, and wait a second, there's no free nights between now and then. Oh, crap. So hope you don't get in my split, because that could be awkward. Anyway,
Yeah.
You had your finger up, sir, as if you want to say something.
Well, I was just going to point that, remember, the qualifying is like 15 minutes before the race, so make
yes.
sure that you participate in that if you would like to.
Good point. Now, is that just for that race? Because it's a separate session, right? So what happens if you log in and qualify, like on the Thursday night? Does that carry through for the rest of the, like the Saturday, Sunday kind of thing? Do you know?
I have no idea. I've never raced an IS before.
Yeah, well, neither have I, so I'm kind of curious about that. But anyway, so that is this coming this coming week, with the open one starting tomorrow night. So it's just about time. And Chad, we were going to be participating in that. I'm going to give an attempt on the Thursday. Plus, I'm also going to be doing some of the NASCAR, whatever the Xfinity series calls their Daytona race. It's, I don't know, the Daytona something presented by internet stuff. Presented by dogpile.com. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to be doing some of those in the Nationwide series. Never mind. Inside joke to myself that only I will get. And any other listeners of Never Not Funny, which there's got to be at least one of them out there. Anyway, so I'm going to be doing some nationwide races at Daytona as well. Their races are 60 laps, I believe, so it'll be a lot easier to get a few of those in. I've got a setup that I haven't practiced with, but I'm going to get some practice in on that. But anyway, you were going to be doing the Daytona 500 on Thursday, wasn't it, Chad?
Yep. And now I'm not.
And now you're not? Why is that, Chad?
Pitchforks. Do we really have to do this right now? Because I'm not. I don't feel mad right now.
Oh, okay. Should we continue? It
No,
just it felt like a natural segue because we were just
Yeah,
talking about it.
I'm just making a joke. Yeah. I participated in a race over the weekend, which this is more of an experience, but I'm not going to go into it too much, except for what this is with the 500. So of course the Power Series I race in on the rare occasion. Everybody calls me a part timer, but I'm really not even that. I'm less than part time. So I did that race. Now I've raced with those guys a bunch, and there's some new faces in there, and a few different people, and things like that. But the core group of people that race in the Power Series are still there, and I've done.
Oh, hold on. Apparently, you have now gone silent on me, and I'm experiencing some internet issues. Oh no! Connection between you is too slow for thing. And we have now had problems with the call. Oh dear! Everything has gone south. And it's attempting to get back Chad. So, the show has gone off the rails here because apparently my internet connection has died on me. Which is funny because, and apparently you just see a picture of Chad's back while we're doing that.
Hold the line, or they don't.
Wait, hold
do
on.
things very well.
Are you there, Chad?
Yes, I'm still talking, so just quit talking.
Okay, but you weren't talking a second ago. Did you know that we lost the connection?
Yes, but I just continued on. I was
Okay.
being a good person here.
And of course,
I can't see your lovely face now.
No, and right now my section just shows the edge of your keyboard because my face should be there, but it's not. So that's exciting. I'm going to have to fix that. So anyway, carry on. Now that we're apparently back, I'm not going to turn my video on because apparently we can't handle it. Oh, wait. And now you're gone. Your video's gone now, too. And now I have a maple French toast bagels ad showing up on the channel. All right. I'm going to fade away from this over to the show logo while we figure this junk out. Did you turn off your video on purpose then?
No, I don't know why it shut off.
Oh, it just turned. I'm just going to leave the show logo up here, so we'll just continue on with the live show. Oh, there, your video's gone again. That's awesome. So carry on, and we'll get video back if we can, ladies and gentlemen.
Now we might need to edit the audio.
No. This stays in.
But see, what's going to be hilarious is now you're going to be talking about whatever you were talking about, trying to fix the thing, and I just carried on with my Daytona conversation like nothing ever happened.
Good point. As Trevor reaches for a pen so he can make a note of the time code so he can check that and maybe do some editing.
Yes. So I will restart again for the people watching, listening on the live stream, and in case we have to edit everything out that just happened. So I raced in the Power Series, and I don't race there very often, but I do like showing up for some of the tracks that I really enjoy, and Daytona obviously is one of the tracks that I normally enjoy.
I don't race there very often, but when I do,
Yeah.
Are you the most interesting man in the world, sir?
I am. But I was disappointed with the way that the draft is, and I know that it has been up and down throughout. I mean, I've been here for 5 years almost now, and actually, it's a little over 5 years now. And it has always been up and down. Um, but that comment on the Twitch is pretty funny. Um, but there's been times where the draft has been really good, and actually, I can't remember the exact season, but I think it was like a year ago, maybe in season one or season two of either 2014, or it might have been even in 2013. But I just remember it being like season two, I think, and one of the last couple years where I thought the draft was excellent, even though it may not have been 100% realistic to what NASCAR had in their real deal. But it was, you could do the two-car draft and you could pull away from the field, but as soon as you detached yourself from the other car that you were pushing, you would instantly be swallowed back up by the pack. And the
Nom
pack
nom
was
nom
a
nom.
pack. Like, you were 2, 3 wide. You could move up and, up in position and go to the back and then come back up through the field. I mean, it was not easy, but it was a lot easier than what it is now. And I just liked that particular draft model that we had.
And for those watching the stream, apparently we've lost
In
Chad
that race
again.
on Sunday, I found out that, in my personal opinion, that this draft is completely broken right now. Um, you can't really pass anybody. The outside lane has never really worked, anyways, but I, I'm pretty positive that it doesn't work right now
Well, yeah,
at all.
the outside lane used to work to the point where it would make you think that you could pass somebody and get you just
Yeah,
close enough that you were think you were going to, but then you just totally don't.
yeah, and the only time that the outside lane has ever truly worked is with the two-car tandem drafting, and then before they put in this rule with the tape where I forget what kind of tape we have now, but we have a bunch of tape on the thing, and so it is very hard to push the guy in front of you on the outside around the guys on the bottom, and even if the guys on the bottom aren't even pushing, it's still very difficult. Um, so in that race on Sunday, I started in 21st, and a lot of times I've told you guys that I like to start in the front and stay in the front, and that's my new strategy on plate tracks. Well, with the Power Series, I'm not racing for points. I'm only there for fun and to win, but mostly for the fun. And I like racing with those guys. There's a lot of clean guys over there, and of course John Hensley runs it, and we like to talk and race with him. So, and Tim, as well. So I started 21st because I wanted to just play with the draft, because I thought, okay, if I'm going to participate in this 500, I want to get a feel for how the draft is right now, because, and this is not a practice session for me, it's just what do we have that we can utilize, in the draft.
Hmm.
And so this is so weird not seeing you anymore.
You can't
I
deal
just
with.
have to say that.
I'm nodding and I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, and mhm.
Because I'm usually I can see Trevor, so it makes me feel more confident in what I'm saying, because there's like a yes or no, and but now it's just I get a smiley face Trevor that's like got his head slightly tilted to the right.
Oh yeah,
That's his
right. I forgot
profile
that. I
picture.
forgot that was my profile picture. Yeah, I look
So
so
now I'm just
happy.
like, I'm saying this and I'm looking over there at it as if, to see if he's agreeing or not, and I just have
Well,
smiley face.
obviously I'm agreeing because I look at that guy.
I know.
That is the picture of of a guy who's agreeing.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So, anyways, I started in 21st, because, like I said, I just wanted to play around with the draft. And I'm pretty sure 10 laps into the thing, I had only gained 2 spots. Now, when I say that, this was not, the first 10 laps were not just me kind of cruising around, like, okay, we'll just let this settle in and then I'll go for gold kind of thing. Like, I was trying to pass these people. And, like, a couple of lanes were open. Like, I went to the outside a couple of times, went back down to the inside, could not pass anybody. And then, yeah, I like that comment too on Twitch. But
Focus, man, focus.
I am. But then we got it. Me and I think it was like four cars got in a straight line, right behind the pack, and I don't even know how we got in the straight line, but we just kind of ended up in the straight line, and we started losing the pack. Not by like a lot every lap, but it was enough that it you could tell. It's hard to explain this without you guys being in the seat doing it, but I could visually see that we were losing time to the pack. And what amazes me is that we were five cars in a single line, and everybody ahead of us was side by side, and in a couple places they were three wide, and yet we were losing their group. And I don't, that is over my head. Like, I don't understand that one at all. Um, but the setup, the fixed setup, and I say this as a warning to everybody, unless they suddenly change it, which it doesn't look like they're going to. Um,
Well, I mean,
this,
I can't see them being able, I mean, that would be dumb to,
yeah.
make a change now, regardless of what the state is, to then all of a sudden go, hey, you know what, guys? Haha, we're going to change it so all your practice is irrelevant.
But at the same time, I would actually encourage them to change it because the fixed setup, anyways, and apparently the open setups are fairly similar, but you can adjust it obviously, so you can not make it as, or you can make it not as bad. Um, but in the fixed setup, it is really, really tight. And at Daytona, you can have some handling issues and stuff like that, but I don't think it's that bad. It's really, it's really, like, it's so tight that if you're side by side with somebody and you're the car that's on the bottom of the racetrack and you enter turn three, for example, your car just pushes up. It's almost like there's a magnet on the car that's on the outside of you, and it just starts sucking in your car to their car. And you really have to play with the throttle. I mean, I throughout that race on Sunday, I was letting out of the gas a lot because if I didn't, I was going to take the guy out above me, and I'm not kidding. Um, and then at the very end of the race, I entered the turn on the bottom lane, pushing somebody. We were on the white flag, and I was running in fourth at the time, and was trying to push him, as hard as I could to maybe see if I could get him across the line first and help him win. And we went off into turn one, and nothing went wrong. Our push didn't go wrong. He didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. We did everything that we were supposed to do, and for some reason, my car just took off into the fence, like fast. I likened it to blowing a right front tire, except I managed to slow it down enough before, that I didn't hit it too hard, and I
Hmm.
was able to still finish. But it was very similar to watching someone blow a right front because they just went straight to the wall. So the fixed setup is very difficult. So if you're participating in the fixed race, watch it because it's hard. Um, but the draft itself is what I'm disappointed at, and the reason why I'm disappointed is because it's probably single-handedly the most popular thing on the sim. People that don't even care about NASCAR, don't even like oval racing, show up for it because it can be fun and it can be an easier way for them to win an oval race. And it's like everybody loves it. And as Trevor pointed out before we went on the show, and he'll probably say again, is what the Carb Cup exists for.
Yeah, well, I mean, to give everybody a chance, it's like, you know what? Here's something that you all want to do because,
Yeah,
like I mean, I've mentioned on the show like way in the past, but I mean, back when I was doing my NASCAR race in 2003 days online, I almost exclusively just did super speedway racing because
yeah,
it didn't take a lot of practice. I, that comes across as wrong when you say it doesn't take a lot of practice, but it's something you can jump into easily. You don't have to learn the track. You just kind of have to get comfortable in your car as opposed to how slow do I have to go for this corner, how that sort of
yeah.
thing. You don't have any of that in super speedway racing.
Yeah, the main thing you have to learn in super speedway racing is how much suck up you have if you are behind the car, you're a few car lengths behind them. How quickly do you catch them? What are the closing rates? What are the how the lanes work and how you can change in and out of lanes. And I mean, that's the thing you have to learn, and that is hard to learn, and you do have to learn it. But the overallness of it all is much easier than like going to Atlanta or Bristol. And it, my point is, for something that's so popular, why is iRacing letting it slip? I mean, a whole year and almost 2 years went by where the NASCAR people were doing the two-car draft with the tandem racing before, eventually they outlawed it, but they were doing it for so long before iRacing ever implemented it. And then we finally got it, and then like not even 6 to 8 months later, iRacing, or not iRacing, but NASCAR got rid of it, and yet iRacing still had it for a long time, and now it's just slowly but surely kind of gotten to where we are now, and I don't even know what this is. Like it's not drafting in my eyes.
Right. And although, like you said, I mean, it's not like they don't know how to adjust it and
Yeah,
do some things with it because they've been constantly iterating on it. And, a lot of things right now where as they iterate on things and they get better on it, they've improved so much about the car handling and the sim and everything like that. And they just can't seem to nail this and get it quite right. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep. So, but I mean but my point is, they're why are they not trying to? I mean, and they could be trying, but there just never seems to be any evidence that they're trying to make the draft work better. And in my eyes, it doesn't even have to be exactly like the real NASCAR one. It just needs to work. You need to be able to do a little bit of side drafting and do a little bit of drafting just in general, where you pull up behind somebody and you can slingshot them, kind of thing. And we can't really do that right now. And so I don't know. It disappoints me in a way. So that's my pitchfork. And it's
Uh,
yeah, it's my reasoning behind why I've decided not to race this week, because the Power Series, and I'm not knocking their series, but it just made it not much fun. Because, and I promise you guys, it had nothing to do with the drivers, had nothing to do with the series, because a lot of those drivers are great at super speedway racing, and we've had some pretty doggone good races before at play tracks. So it has nothing to do with them, or it wasn't like people were moving all over the racetrack, and doing really stupid stuff that was causing it. It was we were all driving the way you should, but we just couldn't go anywhere. And so I don't know. I That was a 100 lap race, and I could barely stand to do that. So I know I'm not going to be able to do 200 laps if it's going to be like that.
well, and that's one of those things that coming from us, that's kind of we get excited for the special races and stuff like that, and here we are saying, hey, you know what? There's a good chance you're not going to have a good time with this. Which,
Yeah,
I mean, again, we are a fan podcast. We are not fanboys. We are not, iRacing. Hey, yay, yay. If something sucks, we'll call it out and tell you. And apparently, and like right now, the state of the draft is not good. So, I think you were saying, I can't remember if it was during the show or before the show, but I mean, you kind of expect a bit of a wreck fest because people are going to be jumping in expecting you go into the corner, you kind of turn the wheel a little bit, and people are going to be shooting off into the outer lane and taking each other out, and these races are going to turn into wreck fests. You
yeah,
know,
because not very many people are going to think, and it's not because they're bad drivers. They're just not going to think that they might have to let out of the throttle some, or otherwise their car is going to go flying into the second lane, because it will, especially in the fixed setup. I've heard people say that it does the same thing in the open setup, but you have a little bit more control over it, but I don't know if that's true. But I just know that a couple of guys I raced with in the RCRL told me that they could not get the car to stay down low, even in the open stuff. So I don't know what the heck's causing that, because I've never seen that problem before. But yeah, just for all of you guys racing, regardless of open or fixed setup, just be watchful of that, because it will. there's not much you can do about it. It starts going up the track, you've got to let out the throttle, and that's in my book where your wrecks will happen more so because people will let out the throttle, and then the guy behind him's like, "Why are we stopping?" Bam, crash.
Yeah. And I guarantee you that's going to happen, you know.
Yep. So, anyways,
So
that was a little bit more lengthy because of whatever just happened with our internet, but
I have no idea. Breaking news. I've been, using super secret communication methods to communicate around my household to find out if anybody's doing anything with the internet. Basically, I was just texting, because so I didn't have to get up and
wow,
interrupt
way
the
to
show.
sell that. You're
Yeah,
like, why
no,
are we doing super secret stuff? But it was really just texting.
but no, nobody's doing anything weird. So either A, and I even did a speed check thing, and my internet is basically right where it should be. So I think it just Skype sucks. So
Yes, that's another pitchfork for me.
we have not cared for Skype as our preferred method of doing thing. It just happens to be the easiest to make it actually work. So until we find a better solution, then we will not. We'll just keep apparently sucking it up, and apparently tonight we're sucking it up worse than normal because it's just sucking.
That's a lot of suck.
It is indeed like a vacuum cleaner.
So let's please move on from that.
Yes, we shall. And other important news is that NASCAR and iRacing.com announced last week a 6-year extension of iRacing's license agreement as NASCAR's exclusive online motorsport racing simulation. Now, I know that is what they say, but the crappy, stupid arcadey games with NASCAR licenses have online play, but they're obviously not simulations, although I think they like to pretend that they are. So I wonder how that works as far as a marketing deal. Wait, that was probably meaner than it sounded, but those games are crap.
That was pretty awesome.
Oh, now we're gonna get sued.
They pretend to be good.
well, they're not. Yeah. Well, I mean, because they make
Make
a
the
big.
magic wand. We are good.
Well, they make a big deal. Well, I mean, that's what they do. They're video games. You could go on Steam and find a $2 game made by some guy in his basement, and he'll tell you it's good, but it's a $2 game, and it ain't. Well, heck, I mean, there was now, in order to not get sued, I will not bring the title up, but there was a game made by a semi-major publisher that was released on Steam there a couple of weeks back, and it was like released as a full retail game, like $55 or $60, and it was a broken, unfinished piece of junk. And it's like, really? you Anyway, that's my pitchfork moment. People, oh, look, it's NASCAR. It's flashy. Look, you can race and stuff like that, except for the AI is crap. Yeah, you want AI people? Well, you know what? The people in the rookie series are better than the AI in some of these bloody games. But anyway, I'm just mad at the internet now. I'm mad at Skype because I don't have my show's all interrupted, and now that's put me into a foul mood.
Gone mad.
I'm mad with power because I have a microphone. Anyway. Danny, embrace the suck.
Yeah. We told you guys, if you're looking for a good mood show, you're not getting it here.
Apparently we're in foul mood. But anyway, what is good news is the fact that iRacing has extended their licensing agreement with NASCAR so that they can have officially sanctioned NASCAR events, and that actually began in 2009, even though obviously they had NASCAR vehicles and whatnot before them, but they became the official online motorsport racing simulation of NASCAR back in 2009, and now that agreement will continue all the way through December of 2020, which I think is when Chad's subscription ends after all this extension and Black Friday sales. So.
Nope. It ends in 2016.
So anyway, that's that's always been one of the cool things, the fact that it's officially NASCAR sanctioned, and that's how we have the DWC. I will always call it Nationwide. I will always call it DWC. The championship driver gets to be part of the Homestead weekend and receiving their check and in a ceremony there and stuff. Like, there's a pretty good connection between NASCAR and iRacing through this agreement, and it's good to see that it actually extend out.
Yeah. And as a small side note, the as it's not called DWC anymore, it is the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series,
Hmm.
and that of course kicks up 1 week from this recording night. So the 24th of February 2015, that series will kick off again, and I'm pretty sure it'll be at Daytona. So if you're one of those people that loves watching that series, it comes back next week.
Yes, and if you're not participating in it, well, you can't because that's where the big boys play, and you haven't qualified yet. But you
Heck,
can
you
next
got to
year.
have your big boy britches for that one.
So that bring up the show notes here. I'm all flustermigated.
Yeah, this
One
has
thing
been interesting. I look forward to listening to this back.
I don't because I have to look at it, see if I have to edit anything out. I mean, I don't think I swore, but I mean, I got pretty riled up there for a bit. I mean, a while back ago when we were talking about strength of field races, I think we were talking about the V8 series back then. Some people had actually asked, how does that come about? And we kind of pointed them at the forums as, normally it's just kind of a group agreement, more or less. They'll talk. A lot of the drivers who race in that series will talk it over and determine what works best and all that good stuff. But with the new Xfinity series, I hate that name so much. The new B class nationwide series showing up with the whole 33 race season coming up, then things have started anew. So there's actually a discussion thread with a vote at the top of it, asking people basically that very question. There's some good discussion and there's some heated discussion going on in that thread as far as what people think of strength of field races. Some people say, hey, it's a great idea. Some people say they're nothing but wreck fests and horrible. But if you were kind of curious as to how, those strength of field nights become unofficially determined, it's a good thread to go over and peruse through and kind of see the process begin, because we have a new series that's happening and people are trying to determine how to make that, that come about. So I'll put a link in the show notes, but otherwise just head over to the B class for, I think even they still call it the nationwide series in the forum title. But head over to the car specific forum for the B class NASCAR car, and you'll find it there. But I'll put a link in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Well, that
So
completes our in the news segment.
it does, doesn't it?
Extra special long edition.
Extra special angry edition.
Yeah. So, here's a segue. We got bigger last week.
Yeah, well, metabolism slows down. I mean, I'm 42
Don't
now,
mean
so.
weight.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. Yes, last week, kind of impromptu, it sort of just organically happened through some discussions through our email string.
The word organic.
It's a nice word, isn't it? I was going to say generic, but
with our segue.
I was going to say generic, but that was wrong. We decided to, as a team, iRacing Today Motorsports, speaking of the team, which of course consists of myself, Chad, Lewis, and Andy and Larry, decided that we wanted to, because there's been more focus, especially with the endurance stuff, on team stuff, and some more, a bunch of us are getting more into racing than has been happening in the past. So we decided that we wanted to expand our team. And it didn't take very long for those discussions to come to the conclusion, hey, who might be some cool additions to the team? Well, what about all those guys racing that as the listener team in the 24-hour race, who came together as a team like within a week and gelled perfectly together? They're already like a team. So why don't we just add them to our team, and we'll all just be a big friendly team a big huge team of people. As a matter of fact, they actually outnumber the old members, so they, I believe, could take over now. I'm going to lose in controlling interest in the team. But we've decided to add in all of the the guys from the listener team from the 24-hour race onto the official iRacing Today Motorsports team. So we shall officially recognize and welcome into the team Mr. Dean Mull, Mr. Roy Clark, Mr. Scott Feldhausen, Mr. Ben Stock, Mr. Danny Resser, and Mr. Jeff McPherson. So welcome to the team, gentlemen. You proved yourself to be great team players, and we are happy to have you here to, well, basically to help me is what I'm getting to get out of it, because you're all better racers than me, so that's important for me. So give me setups, give me tips, and make me the best me I can be. You know, I need to be less angry. I mean, we got to start there. Really, is what we got to get down to.
You need to go to. Now this is going old school on IRTM, but you need to go to some of those Chad Dalton anger management classes. Which is a joke, by the way. I did not actually go to anger management classes. Just to clarify.
Well, yes, I mean, come on. We can't have a joke and then say, "Oh no, we were just joking." Just make sure we're joking. But in any, I mean, all joking aside, we mentioned, after the 24 that we're really proud of what those guys did and how they came together as a team, and like it literally, like in a week, we just kind of put them together and they just gelled like magic, and it was great to see. And they're great team players, so we're happy to have them on board. And let's win some championships for this team. It's been a while since Chad gone and got us some trophies, so we need some new ones. So
I think, and this I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think that between the five of us, like if you exclude the new people we just added, the five of us that are on the team, and then the two guys we used to have in Chad and Jeff, we had, I think combined, we have gotten 10 championships under the IRTM banner. So, got room for 10 more new people. Are you speechless?
Does that mean that they each have to come up with two? Well, not quite two each, I guess. Does it have to be evenly spread?
Well, they don't have to. One of them could win 2, or I've won 5 of the 10. I'm just going to throw that out there. So,
are we
do all the work?
Are we including my Division 9 Tour Modified Championship?
No, because these are only championships that you got after you were on the team.
Yeah, but since I formed the team, so like I was IRTM before there even was an IRTM.
Have the team. And then you started as a joke, and now look what it is.
I know, but that's the only championship I'll probably ever win.
Okay. So we have 10 officially, 11 unofficially.
Yay, I win!
There's an asterisk beside it, though.
Oh.
Footnote at bottom.
You and your bloody asterisks.
I know.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, so that was that. And experience-wise, like I said, it's been a bit busy for me, so I haven't actually had a chance. I'm going to, if this show ever ends, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to continue on into an abyss of anger and disappointment for the rest of the evening, and we'll just keep I'm going to be doing. We'll just start the 24-hour stream that I'm going to be doing later on for the children through Extra Life. We'll just do it now. We'll just podcast for 24 hours straight. Like people have got.
I have somewhere to be. I have somewhere to be tomorrow night, so I can't do that.
We should do that. I mean, sure, it's supposed to be playing games, but I mean, there's got to be somebody who will donate money to charity to listen to us talk for 24 hours straight. Man, imagine how angry you'll be then.
I don't know. This is stupid. I don't like you guys anymore. I'm going to bed.
I hate everything.
I'm going to bed yet. Before I talk about my other experiences, I will say welcome to all those guys to the team. And ditto to everything Trevor said about how they came together and are good little group of guys. They're not little because they outnumber us.
Yes, and they're worldwide as well. So
yeah, and that's actually what I was going to say. It's kind of neat that because our team has kind of been either Canada or United States, and now we're Canada, United States, Australia, UK.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going global.
Yeah, well, in actual fact, that was part of the whole plan, was the fact that we actually get better tax credits if we hire out of country, because now we get, the diversification credit for the team. So that's important too. So we have more money to buy new cars or something like that. That's not real.
Oh, okay.
So races. You had some.
Um,
I didn't.
yeah, which has kind of been the trend, which is why we hired 6 new people so that I'm not the only one racing. Ooh, shots fired.
Ooh.
Yeah. So of course I did my V8 series race. Um, this past, I wasn't doing that because of a reason. I was just clearing my throat. In all honesty, um, I we were at Circuit Zolder, which I mentioned last week, and I think I mentioned before on the show. That is one of my favorite road course tracks. Of course, Trevor got on my case earlier saying that everything's your favorite.
Well, again, and this goes. Here's a callback to like back to the first days of the radio show. I mean, it was a time when it was everything was the loosest car you've ever driven. It was the tightest car you've ever driven. It's your favorite race you've ever driven. Like you just live in the world of extremes, man. You don't live in there's no moderation with Chad. Chad is like, Chad goes to 11 at all times.
Or one. There's no in between for me. It's like, so how's your car doing? On a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 50. Or it's a -50. It's like, well, I would have just preferred like a 4.8 or something, but okay. Anyways, back to my story.
I either hate everything or I love everything.
Well, and that's who I am. Yeah. But yeah, so I was racing at Circuit Zolder, which I really honestly do like. All kidding aside. And now I do have to throw out one hilarious thing. John Emerson has been posting videos, and he also gives a baseline setup, which I've used a couple times, but he mostly puts out a video of a lap from his inside of his car, him just going around the track doing a lap, and on the screen he has like his gear and it shows his throttle and brake inputs, and then it also has a steering input, which I'm not as concerned by. But basically what I love about those videos, with me being new to the V8 car, is that it allows me, I mean, I watch it, so he only does one lap, but I sometimes go back and watch it a couple times. It allows me to basically know what I'm doing before I ever even get there. Because, obviously, every track we go to, I have not driven the V8 at. Some of these tracks I hadn't even driven yet, like Oran Park way back when we started the season. Zolder, of course, I've driven before, but I'd never driven the V8. So I actually, before I watched John's video, this is the funny part of the story, I actually went out on the track. I was like, okay, I know Zolder. I think I can pick it up on my own. But I'll go watch his video in case there's a turn I'm struggling with. So I go out there, and I really didn't do that well, but it was my first couple laps, and I was trying to take it a little bit easy. And they're the very last turns at Zolder, and I don't know what number they are, but they're the last turns before you get to the straightaway where the start-finish line is. And basically, there's two different areas right there that can be considered the last turns. There's an alternate track configuration where you kind of do like a slant almost to the left and then like a little bit back to the right, and you're on the straightaway. And then the other version, which I think is the part of like the full course or something like that, you go straight, you have a very heavy braking zone depending on the car, you take a really sharp turn to the left, go down a very short straightaway, then take a sharp turn to the right, and then you're on the straightaway where the start finish line is. Well, I have only driven the regular course or the full course or whatever, where you have that sharp lefty, short straightaway, sharp righty. So the first 2 laps that I ran in the V8, I just went through that because I thought, yeah, that's what I know, I'll do that. Well, I was struggling a little bit, so I went and watched John's video, and he goes through the alternate part, the other one that I was not going through. So I felt like an idiot right out of the gate because I was already on the wrong course and was costing myself time because the part I was going through was slower than the part we were supposed to go through.
Okay, back up here. How are you even able to do that?
Because there's no cones or nothing. You just keep driving.
Really?
There's nothing that tells you to not do that.
I totally need to bring up the track map on this now. Now you've got me curious.
Yeah, so there was no indication that I was supposed to go to the left, and actually, the part that we were supposed to drive looks like an access road, and it very well could be, but they occasionally apparently use it as a part of the racetrack. Um, so while Trevor goes and becomes like that, I'll continue on with my story. After the first few laps, I really picked up Zolder really well. Now I wasn't as fast as I would have liked to have been. I just couldn't find the speed, but I was very comfortable and had very consistent lap times. And Zolder's pretty tricky in the V8, which I thought it would be. There's a lot of very little quick chicanes at Zolder they have to go through, and that's hard in the V8 car. I will say that. Um, so I got on Friday night and did the shrink the field race, uh, and was actually doing pretty well to start off. I think I started in 11th, gained about 4 spots in the first couple of laps. Was running, and then I gained another one. I was running in sixth, and the guy in fourth spun out, spun in a perfect position to where it was a right hand turn, and he was sitting on the track. He hadn't hit anything, he just looped the car.
Hmm.
And he was sitting on the right side of the track, right in that turn. That's the right hander. So obviously, the preferred line is on the right hand side, which is where he's at. So I came around, noticed it, and thought, okay, I need to stay as far to the left as possible because then I'll miss him and continue on my merry way. Well, as soon as I decided to do that, he decided that he needed to get out of the way. So he pulled forward, which put him in my way, and I clobbered him. Um, but it didn't end my race because my car okay. It was down on power a little bit, but it was okay.
It
So
was a kind clobbering then.
yeah, so I continue on. I lost 2 spots, gained those both back, and was running down the guy in fifth, and then I got a black flag for slightly cutting the course, which was my own fault. It was in that alternate part of the track that Trevor's currently looking up, and once I got that cleared, I gained back all the time that I'd lost, caught the guy in fifth again, and I'm not kidding, 7 laps from the finish. And I was driving one of the better races of my V8 career to this point. I mean, I was driving that car really hard. And I'm not just being dramatic, I really was. I the engine blew up. There was no indication. There was no warning. There was no, hey, you might want to look at your temperatures down here. It was just like, boom.
Does your car talk to you while you're racing? Hey,
Yes.
Chad.
Hey,
Um,
look at me.
I'm feeling a little bit I'm feeling a little bit bad here. A little bit of indigestion. You might want to look at your gauges or something, because oh boy, this isn't good.
Wow, this is the most interesting show ever. Um, so that was the end of that race. Have you looked at the pictures now? Do you
I
understand
have,
what I'm
yeah,
talking
and I
about?
see exactly what I see exactly what you did. So there's no, so you were doing the little chicane part where you just had to go straight across.
Yeah,
Huh? Yeah, that'd kill your time.
yeah.
And so there's actually no cones on the section,
Nope.
because the track
And
map picture doesn't actually
but
show that part of it. So
well, but if there was a better picture, but if you load up the track, you'll notice that if you keep going down that straightaway, you eventually get to pit road.
right.
So that's the reason why the cones aren't there, is because of
Oh
the
yeah,
pit.
you're right. Okay, I get you.
Yeah. And so, but because I didn't look at the track, on the schedule to see what configuration it said, I just loaded it and went because I was like, oh, I know Zoder. Um, I didn't catch that until after I watched John's video. And then when John went through that little part, I was like, whoa, okay, that's going to make this a whole lot easier.
Well, yeah, I mean, and literally the only difference between the Grand Prix and the alternate is that one piece. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That one little part. So that obviously did not go well, and I finished in 17th. Was a disaster of a race, even though it was a good race because I was doing well when I had a car that worked. Um, but the lesson learned from that race for all of you guys and gals out there is when you've spun and you're sitting on the track, don't pull away until it's clear. And yet no one ever seems to do that
I thought
correctly.
I thought the takeaway from that was, RTFM,
Track.
as opposed to, instead of manual, the actual schedule, and make sure that you're racing the proper track and you're not, doing the Legends track when you should be doing the Charlotte Oval. That would be weird.
Well, see, there's two lessons. Check the configuration you're supposed to run, and then when you spun, before you start rolling again, if you're sitting on the track or sitting just off the track, make sure it's clear. Because otherwise, like, it's almost 100% chance you're going to take somebody out if you don't. Because there's always somebody coming. Um, that was the lowest point of my entire weekend. Things got a lot better within about 24 hours. Um, this is something that I decided to do at random because I had actually been. We mentioned those forums that we have for some of the people that are doing the endurance races with us, and Roy Clark and I think it was Larry had been discussing the GT3 races, which of course were at Watkins Glen last week, and they were just talking. Larry, I think, did like 10 or 11 or maybe even 12 of those races. I mean, he did like a buttload of them last week. And I think Roy had done a couple, and I think Jeff had done a couple. So just in watching them talk about it, and I've done the GT3 at Watkins Glen, and when I when I saw all them doing that, and then Roy posted a setup, and then Larry was just like, "Oh, this is a great setup." I was like, "I'm just gonna go take a couple laps in that setup just to see what it's like." And I thought, if it's really great and I'm in control of it, maybe I'll do a race, maybe I won't, I don't know. And so I just loaded up the setup, ran 4 laps, and it was like the most smooth, perfect thing that I've ever driven. And yes, I'm being dramatic that time. Um, because it was, I mean, I don't know how you could spin that out. Like, it was that good of a setup. Um, and I really got comfortable pretty quickly, and my lap times were actually not that bad. So I uh, I I did those laps, then walked away, did some other stuff. Then I came back, did a qualifying session, and I thought, okay, if I post a really good lap time that I feel very comfortable with, then I'm going to do the race. So I got a very good lap time. I was like, heck, I'm going to do the race. So I jumped in there. I didn't stream it, nor did I record it. And there's a sign now, I think, and you're going to find out why, as to maybe why I should stop streaming. Um, but I uh, I started the race in third. The first couple of laps, there were a couple guys being very aggressive, and I just let them go. It was just kind of in my own little world. Was just there for the fun of it mostly. And the one guy that was really aggressive on the first lap, he was in the lead, and he came out of the second to last turn at Watkins Glen, and spun out. Well, when he spun right in front of the guy that was in second because he was pretty much right behind him. The guy in second hit him. They kind of had this little wreck party right over, on the side of the road. And
Wreck party.
crash wall. Um,
It's like a rave, man.
yeah. So I was in third at the time, and I saw them there, and I managed to sneak by. And then suddenly I was in the race lead. Well, one other car made it through, and everybody, for the most part, made it through the wreck, but they had to slow down, or they got held up, or had to go off the track or something because they were kind of taking up the whole road in their crash. It was actually pretty amazing that I got by, and the guy behind me got by. Um, the guy that ended up in second was like, "Hey, Chad, let's just take it easy and let's try to get away from these guys," which translation for me was, I'm running away from all of you because I don't want
Translation: this guy can't keep up with me. I must run
yeah,
away from him.
yeah. So I started driving like really hard. And the race is only 17 laps. That all happened on lap 3. I managed to lead the last 14 laps of the race, and somehow, and it still blows my mind, won a GT3 challenge race. Like, I don't even know how, but just managed to win that thing. And that is in the official side of iRacing, that's my first win out of rookies on the road side. I do have a nationwide win at Watkins Glen in a league, but
Hmm.
we're not going to count that right now because that's not official racing. So I was pretty dang happy after that.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, we've gone from, you know, hey, I want to try to do some more road racing, try to be a little bit better, and here you are going and saying, hey, you know what? I don't know, you guys sound like you're having fun at the Glen this week. I'm just going to go give it a shot. And then you go and win the bloody race.
Yeah, I
Man,
don't think any of them won either.
I hate you so much. Wait, sorry,
Yeah,
what? Oh, I forgot to mute my microphone.
both people hit me. um, so yeah, that's pretty sweet. But my point behind maybe I should stop streaming is because it's like that's the first time in a while I haven't streamed and then I won the thing. So it's
Ah,
like
okay.
maybe there's something there. Now I did do and I'm not going to go into details about it because you guys can go watch it because I did stream this. I did do a makeup V8 race. I got up very early on Sunday morning. Actually, I was going to do the 7 a.m. race my time, but then for some odd reason, just woke up at 4:30 a.m.
Ugh, gross.
and was like awake, and not just like tossing and turning. Like I literally just woke up. So I was like, well, heck, I'll just do the 5 a.m. race. So I jumped into the 5 a.m. V8 race on Sunday morning, my time, and had a really good, smooth race and got second place in that race. So if you exclude the 17th on Friday night, that's my second straight second place finish. And that race got me enough points that I am now actually leading Division 6 in the points. Like I just leapfrogged everybody.
Sweet.
So I'm like, yay! I have a shot to win the Division 6 title. So see, you got on my case for not bringing home trophies. I might bring one home.
True. I mean, and with the new season coming up, and if I'm gonna, maybe do the GT3, since I'm in such a crappy division, I think I'm in like Division 9 on the roadside. Maybe I can win a championship too.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe. Go for it, man. So yeah, what started off as a dismal weekend actually turned out to be really great because um, I went first, second, and then third if you count the Power Series race. So yeah, I, overall I had a lot of fun racing, even though there were some pitchforks involved.
See, we're not all about anger, ladies and gentlemen. We can be happy too.
Yeah.
I'm still
So
kind of
yeah,
mad at Skype because the little bars are still looking at me with their little yellow evilness saying, hey, you know what? Don't even bother trying to turn the video on because it's not going to work. So, just whatever.
oh, but now Stacy can't see your pretty hair.
I know. She'll never know the answers if the fluffy hair shows up or not. Never know.
Never
Never
know.
know. Have you actually turned off your video officially, or have you still have it that it'll come up if it wants to?
Oh yeah, I turned that off a long time ago.
I mean, it's yellow. Before we get to the end of the show, we'll try to bring the video back up just because what's the worst? Oh God, he's doing it now. All right, well. Oh wait, and then he turned it off. Stop it!
Okay, sorry.
Oh man. Anyway, one other thing I'll notice. Nope, that's not the word at all.
Did you notice?
Nope.
Please tell us what you noticed.
One other thing I was going to mention is the fact that as part of the whole, we're doing our team with adding the team members and all the organization and stuff like that. Kind of impromptu in the background, we have also set up a forums where we can, at the request of John
Have we set up more than one?
at the request of John Hensley, who said, "Oh, for the love of God, why don't you guys get a room and get out of my mailbox?"
Whoa.
Or something to that
Whoa.
degree.
Whoa. That escalated way too quickly.
Well, it's perfectly innocent when you look at it. That's all I was saying, is that we were filling
I
up
don't
his
want to be in anybody's inbox.
his email inbox with all of our back and forth and very productive conversations. And he said, "Hey, why don't you guys have a forum? And that way you don't, mess up everybody's email." And then Andy's all like, "Because Trevor won't let me," and I'm all like, "I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Do what you can." But
Where was the ban that was put down on this?
I'm not sure. But apparently, I'm all, "Yeah, you will never have a forums in our name." So Chad has set up forums that we've been using to
No, I didn't do that.
to coordinate stuff, and I was, we've been kind of tossing around the idea back and forth whether or not we were going to make those open to any listeners of the show if they want to come in and talk about stuff or maybe get some help with setups and, because there's a lot of very good conversation in there about, racing lines, setups, that sort of thing. So we were debating whether or not we're going to make that public, and then Andy shows up for approximately 4 minutes and then drops the link right in the chat there. So I guess we're going to go public with it and let anybody join in.
It's no longer in beta.
Apparently not. I was not aware of this. Andy Stolly comes in, makes fun of me a couple times, and then drops the link and then says his laptop's dying and then leaves. He's like one of those comics who just runs out on stage. He's Kanye West. Like Andy is the Kanye West of the iRacing world. He comes out, says a couple of things, drops the microphone, and walks off stage.
Yep.
So, anyway, if you guys are interested in having some conversations with us, we'd love to have you on our new forums, which you can find over at asimracer.com. So that's the letter A and then simracer. So as in, not two sim racers. No, just one. asimracer.com/IRTM for iRacing Today Motorsports. So even though that doesn't make sense, if it's a forum for the show and not just the team, see, none of this makes sense anymore.
iRacing Today Motorsports owns the show.
They do?
Somehow. I don't know.
I thought I owned the team and the show. I thought I owned everything.
Yeah, but see, you're losing control.
I see that.
Oh man.
I've lost all control apparently. I mean,
yes.
Andy comes in and says, "I don't know. Let's start a forum. Let's invite a bunch of people." And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't race much, so I feel bad. So do whatever you want to do. I guess. I don't know." I mean, at one point in time, I think Andy was trying to fire me and become, it was going to be the Andy and Chad show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, we thought Scott was the only instigator. Now we got two of them. I mean, we got Scott and Andy like on the inside of the team instigating. We should probably really vet our people a little bit better before we let them in onto the inside, because
we can always fire them.
Yeah, but
might look bad on their resume, but
yeah, and it look bad on us. I mean, we promote ourselves
as
bad on us? But because we promote ourselves as a bunch of friendly people, and we welcome everybody, and
But if people on our team are not being the same that we are, then that looks bad on us by default. So we just need to get rid of them.
If they're not being the same, well, that sounds elitist.
I mean,
if you're not like me, you get out.
I meant like if they're not being nice.
Well, they're being nice. They're just, I've just lost all control of everything. That's all. I mean, that's they're being nice while they're taking control of, this thing that I've created from the ground up. I mean, that's fine. That's as long as you're doing it with a smile, I guess it's okay.
But yeah, come join the forums.
Yes.
You can, even if you're not going to do the endurance racing, we still talk about random other stuff. So, I mean, heck, they started talking about the GT3 race, and that's what got me to do the GT3 race that I ended up winning. So you never know.
And like I said, I mean,
I just wanted to throw that out that I was winning one more time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Did I mention that I won that GT3 race?
You're by winning. I don't know how Charlie Sheen, Tiger's Blood or something. I don't know, but so anyway, like I said, I mean, it gives us another avenue to talk with you guys, and like I said, just stop by, say hi, and like I said, there's a lot of good conversation, setup sharing. We're not one of those teams that are all like, hey, we got all the secrets and we're gonna go out there and win all the races because we won't tell you what how to do things.
I have secrets.
Well, we all have secrets. I mean, man, you don't want to get me started on my secrets, man. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing that I'll mention, there is an iRacing Today radio show section, where supposedly we're going to be posting each week's show. So feel free to comment in there about the show. That
you just trailed off there, man. I was just going to let you hang.
Yeah, I figured.
The show that, the stuff stuff and things.
Hey, your video's back.
Well, I'm going to try it. Let's see what happens. We're almost done the show, so let's, if it
See,
all.
now everything's gonna be all weird because I haven't done a.
No, it looks
Never
good.
mind.
I think I'm all large and weird. It's the way it
Oh, my
normally works
head's
out.
chopped off.
Your head's always chopped off.
No, it's not.
It is too. I don't care. I'm turning it on. That's okay. Oh wow, yeah, you're all. No. Okay. Yeah, you're all weird. That didn't work out well at all. The capture box for you is wrong. And Chad goes away. And we go back to the podcast picture. Well, we tried, but apparently everything's all messed up. But anyway.
Wow, man, it's probably a good thing that we don't edit the show still because it would take us hours to edit this one.
I'll turn off my video so you can't see me anymore. Haha, take that.
Well, Stacy got to see the hair.
Very, very briefly, yeah. No fluffy hair. Yes, I went and well, I went and cut my hair last night, and it was like I had an idea in my head because I cut my own hair because I'm cheap like that. And when you have hair that's really short, it's easy to do. So it was like, you know what? I got an idea. I want to do this. So I tried it, and it's like, nope, that's not even. So I cut it a little shorter, tried something different. No, cut it a little shorter. It's like, all right, none of this is working. Half inch, right across. Burp, 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 burp. And then we'll just start again. See, it's always good if you're gonna experiment with your hair that you always have a fallback position you can always go back to if things go really, really bad. And they did. So, now my hair's short again.
Okay.
But I'm also an ape, so I can try again in a month because it'll be fluffy in a month. So, such is
Gotcha.
the curse of my life and my hair. But I think we've talked enough about this stuff. This has been a weird off the rails show, sir. But at least
wanna
I'm not
say-
stumbling over my words anymore. So, I remember how to talk this week.
I want to say one last really fast thing.
All right.
The race that I won in the GT3 race was a 14:01 strength of field, so it wasn't a terrible strength of field. I mean, that's not great, but it's also not 700, where Trevor is. So,
751.
and now my I rating is at 1700 exactly.
Nice.
So I could go race in the Masters of Endurance now.
Oh, yeah. You'd be the only one, but, hey, congrats.
Maybe somebody will take me in.
Wow, your road rating is almost as good as my oval rating. Like, I'm only 18 something on the oval side.
Yay! I'm better than Trevor.
In all things.
We have a cool rookie tip, which is really not a rookie tip. It's like
No, but it kind of fits in there a little bit.
yeah, it's kind of a neat free tool that you can use. That I have actually known about for a while. I don't know if Trevor has, but
I have. We just had not brought it up, and a listener decided to point it out to us. So that sounds like a great opportunity to share. And you've been talking for a bunch, so I'm going to talk about it. Chris Bourne, a listener to the show, we've talked about him a few times because he sent us in some stuff. Has sent in some information on a little app that might be. I mean, it does a small little thing, but it could be useful to anybody's out there. In his words, finally, a little app I found. Well, he said finally because it was part of a bigger email. A little app I found that I've not heard you cover enables you to auto-click the green box to join a session. So if you're 5 minutes from a session starting and the box is red, this app introduces a tick box that when the timer reaches 0, it auto-joins you. Handy if you do other things whilst waiting for a session to go live. So the basic idea is that it'll put a little checkbox on the join button, which is normally red when it's counting down towards the session starting. And if you check that, tick, I was going to say tick and check, and I went with chick. If you check that box, if you check that box, when the timer reaches 0, it'll auto join you into the session, which would be useful if you say, okay, I'm going to join a session. It's in like 15 minutes, whatever. And, okay, the baby's crying. I got to go take care of that. Or the phone's ringing or something. And that way you don't miss out on the session, because if you join a session and then you don't actually, or you register for a session, you don't actually join it, for instance, one place where this could be useful, then that'll count as a, anyway, it'll basically count against you, because it's like you almost forfeited that race because you signed up for it, but then didn't actually do any laps. And I think that'll actually affect your iRating if I do remember correctly. I could be
Yep.
remembering that wrong, but
Once the word changes from withdrawal to forfeit in the countdown timer, you are entered into the race whether you join it or not.
so this would be useful for that. And that way you come down and say, oh crap, that session was actually starting. You run down and there you are actually already joined in. And, with 1 minute left to warm up or whatever. And then you're like, haha, and everything's great. And then my daughter went to bed and been thump up on my roof, which is exciting. So you need to be running Chrome and not Explorer. And quite frankly, nobody should be running Explorer because,
Exploder.
yeah. Except for me at work because like a third of our applications only run on Chrome, a third of them only run on Explorer, a third of them run on Firefox because, hey, why would you want to have a consistent corporate image when it comes to web browsers? Oh, wait, there's Angry Trevor again. So if you're running Chrome, I'll put a link in the show notes. It's over on iRacerstuff.com. You may have heard of them. And you can check that out and enable that. So if that is something that might help you. So thanks, Chris, for pointing that out because we wouldn't have thought to tell our fine listeners about it if you had not brought that up to us. So thank you very much. And anybody else who has any ideas or little things that we haven't mentioned on the show that you think might be useful to our listeners, then let us know, and therefore we can talk about them. And, if you tell us, then it's one less thing we have to come up with on ourselves, by ourselves. Less research means more time to race, when we're not preparing for the podcast. Hey, okay, fine. It's been established. You do the preparations. Hey, I added a note in there. I did, I did part of that today. So, see, I was part of the program. So, but you do the preparations, and I do the post-perations.
Which is going to be fun after this.
The preparations and the post-perations. It's like perspiration, but different.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So on that note,
I think that about covers it, doesn't it? And quite frankly, I think it has to cover it because this has been one weird show. I'm still not entirely convinced that whether I did or did not swear. I'm pretty sure I had my radio voice on, and in radio voice Trevor, I'm very conscious to not say anything that I shouldn't be saying.
I talked about Daytona twice, and I don't know which one's going to stick.
For all your Daytona talk, please. So anyway, as we prepare to close out, remember Daytona 500 week here if you want to do it, even though Chad says you shouldn't because it sucks. I'm going to be doing my race on Thursday, even though Chad says it sucks. I'm going to try anyway because, hey, I want to try. But if you are going to be racing out there, be mindful of the fact that the setup is going to be tighter than you probably think. And keep that in mind if you're in the lower lane, that you don't go and wreck the entire field and then have everybody yelling at you. So make sure you do a little bit of practice in the draft and make sure you get used to how that car handles as the race progresses on the older tires. And, so it does not catch you off guard. But with all of that being said, that'll about do it for this week. A big thanks to all of you out there for listening. We do truly, truly appreciate it. Head over to those forums if you want to in order to, chat with us in yet another way. We give you so much access, ladies and gentlemen. Talk with us in the forums, on Twitter, through email, through the other forums. Forums all over the place. We have forums about forums. Make sure you talk to us because we're lonely. Remember that the show is available for download on iTunes and Zune under the podcast section, where we would really appreciate a review to help us get the word out to those who are not listening already. But we keep gaining more and more, so I'm pretty sure that everybody who is part of iRacing listens to the show, or they should. Or if this isn't their cup of tea, they probably shouldn't because, they'll be all like, wow, those guys are dumb. I don't want to listen to that at all. So you guys don't listen. But if you like it, listen, because it's great. And it's fun. If you stop listening, then we'll have to stop doing the show, and that'll make me sad. The show is also available on YouTube, and this will be a doozy because it's going to include faces being there, not being there, interrupted communication, a show of Chad's keyboard for a period of time because my face was no longer there. So I'm pretty sure that's exciting for all you keyboard aficionados. And it will include us popping in and out and Chad with a cut off head. So hey, there you go. If you ever wanted to see what happens if Chad was only half the height of what he really is, well, there you go. You can check that over on YouTube, which is over at Ratface Productions, same as my Twitch. And that'll all be mirrored over in Chad's channel, which is It's Chadillac. Remember to update your bookmarks, ladies and gentlemen, and your following and your liking and whatever it is that YouTube does. You can check the website out for information and the polls we mentioned on the show over at iRacingTodayRadio.com. Make sure you vote in that poll question because I'm very curious to see what the results are going to be for that. So if you haven't done so, please do so. Give this show a like on Facebook if you like that sort of thing. Haha, see what I did there? By searching for the iRacing Today radio show. I didn't even let you finish or answer to the part where I said, do you see what I did right there? Didn't matter. I didn't care. I'm just on a roll. I'm on a roll. Was it Scott who sent that message out? It's like, this is what reminds me of Trevor, and it's a cat. And it says, don't interrupt me. I'm on a roll, and it's a cat on a bunch of rolls. It made me laugh. And you can follow us on Twitter at iRacing Today for myself and at It's Chadillac for Mr. Chad, who's still here, even though he's probably sitting there saying, is this guy ever going to shut up so I can talk again? But I don't get to talk about my races, man. So I build up the talk, and then I finally get the chance. It's like, oh, now we're done.
Two other little quick things. Our website is fixed now.
Oh, yes, it was broken.
It died. So yeah, you can go back to the website now, and it's all good. And the second thing is, just a clarification. I was racing the Cup car, so I'm using my opinions based on the Cup car. The Nationwide and the truck could be completely different. Anyways, please email any questions, comments, and poll suggestions that you have to feedback at iRacingTodayRadio.com. Of course, feel free to add myself and Trevor as friends. I don't know why you do that because we're weird. On iRacing.com.
That's all the more reason.
What?
All the more reason to add us as friends. Who doesn't like weird friends?
Yeah, I guess so. But if you're not a member of iRacing and you're going to join, please refer either Trevor or myself, and then, of course, add us as friends once you're on there. But when you sign up, you can enter a little email address in the referral box, and you can enter Trevor's, which is ratface@gmail.com, or you can enter mine, which is iRacingLegend@gmail.com. But until next week, where hopefully there won't be any problems, ladies and gentlemen, remember that the race is rarely won in the first turn,
but it is often lost there. Good night, everybody.